Today we're going to be talking about how to go from side hustle to pro in your photography journey. It's probably one of the most asked questions, DMs, emails that I get is, how did you do it? How do I do it? What do I need to be on the lookout for? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And just want to let you all know that I was in your shoes just 12 short years ago. I was working my 9 to 5, or in reality, it was more like 9 to 8, 9 to 9. Who actually gets to work a 40-hour job anymore? I had 4 kids. My youngest was born with special needs. I was burnt out, tired, frustrated. I knew I needed more for myself, more for my family, and I was really looking for a career that I could transition into relatively quickly, where I could be in charge of my time, my schedule, the demands on me, and photography has been able to do that for me. So I really want to help it do that for you as well. So the very first thing, my very first suggestion on how to go from side hustle to pro is to invest wisely. Have you ever heard the saying that you just don't know what you don't know? Well, that pretty much described me. So picture this. I stroll into Ritz Camera, and I'm probably totally dating myself with that reference because I don't think Ritz Camera exists anymore. I was feeling really cool. I now considered myself a photographer. I still had my full-time money because I hadn't yet quit my job. And I had a little bit of part-time money. I told the guy who was working that I was looking to make my photography business full-time, and let me know what I needed. Well, he probably saw the most naive person standing in front of him, and he sold me a camera I had no idea how to use, a tripod, a light meter, an external flash. And I'm not saying any of those are bad investments, but at the time I was photographing families, so I had no need for a tripod. I was photographing them outside, so I didn't need an external flash, and I didn't even realize that cameras had light meters in them. So I way over-invested. I ended up selling off all that stuff a few years later when it was just collecting dust in my closet. So all that to say, do not feel like you need to have this extensive equipment list or extensive prop list or a studio day one. Knowing how and where to invest your money is going to save you so much in the long run. So when you start your business, really all you need is a camera, a body, a camera that you know how to use. Let me back up and say that. A camera and a body, some SD cards, a battery, a computer to edit on, and really that's about it. If you're doing newborn photography, you might need a few blankets, a few props. You don't have to have an extensive collection right away. You can really add a ton of variety by shooting things different, by switching up angles, etc. So investing wisely so you don't put yourself in too big of a hole when you're first starting is my number one tip for you. Oh, and keep in mind, renting is a great way to try out equipment. There's rental companies in every major city. There's a ton online. I will list some below this video to give you an idea of where you can look. Okay, number 2, make sure that you have a solid foundation. Some of the very best advice that I was ever given is to make sure that before I collect $1 from my photography services, that I have the whole back end side of my business solidified. All states vary on their requirements, so you'll absolutely have to check with your state to figure out what specifically you need to do. But just kind of in a general sense, you're going to want to make sure you get a federal EIN number that you apply to your state to make sure that you can collect and submit state sales tax. And then you're also going to want to make sure that you talk to an insurance provider and get business insurance, just to make sure that you and your family and the business are protected. And also check with your local municipality, your local township, to see if they have any rules and regulations about operating a business wherever you are. Okay, the next part under having a strong foundation is making sure you have a very solid website. I think I've talked about this before, and I'll probably talk about it in every video because I think it's so undervalued right now. If you just have your business on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and don't have an actual website that you own, you're going to want to hit pause on this and go and do that right away. And I know they're expensive, they can be time consuming, they can be confusing, but to be a professional photographer and to actually start getting high-end clients and to be protected for yourself, you're going to want something that you own. If you only are using social media sites, you don't own those. They can change the rules at any time, and you don't have a way to drive traffic to you. You're kind of at the mercy of their algorithm. But with an actual website, you can work on your SEO, you can run a Google ad, you can be in charge of driving traffic to your site. High-end clients are going to want to see a beautifully branded website with beautiful imagery, and you can, all that content that you put on the website is always going to be there. It's not getting lost in this social media world. So I know it's expensive, I know it's time consuming, but it's 100% something that you have to do. The bulk of my clients, my traffic, when I research it, comes straight from my website. I use the Instagram and I use Facebook a little bit, but my workhorse has always been my website. So I highly encourage you. You don't have to invest in the highest end designer from the beginning. There's a lot you can do on your own. I use a Showit site, which is very easy to use. So I'll link Showit down below too, so if you want to take a look at that. But absolutely, if you want to make sure that you're building your business on a solid foundation, you do have to have a website. Okay, the next part C of this is making sure you have contracts, model releases, and questionnaires all in place. Contracts and model releases, absolutely. As soon as you start photographing people outside of your immediate family, you want to make sure you have your bases covered for your safety, for their understanding, just to make sure that you're giving them what they expect and they know what to expect from you. They are super easy to put together. There are a lot of free resources online, so you don't have to pay a lot. I will link some resources below of places that I've used in order to get some of my contracts and model releases when I was first beginning. So they don't cost you very much money, and then as your career grows, if you find it necessary to hire a lawyer to draw up something specifically for you, you can do that as well. Okay, the last part in this section is pricing. You've got to have pricing established and consistently use it across the board. So as soon as you're transitioning from hobbyist to pro, you need to have a price list that you can share with your clients, maybe some verbiage to it on the website that you've created, and you need to stick with it. I know I hear a lot of my mentees say, these are my prices, and then when someone asks if they'll discount, or they'll ask, is there any flexibility? All of a sudden, all the stuff they've established starts crumbling, and you just can't do that when you're running a business. So you're gonna wanna make sure you have a solid pricing structure. How do you do that? Well, you need to know your costs of doing your business. So you're going to want to make sure you put together all of your costs, what you wanna make, how much you wanna work, and then from there, you can kind of back down into your pricing. I know pricing can be very overwhelming, so I actually devote a whole section to it in my Creating Freedom membership. I've got multiple modules on pricing for profitability, and I actually have a template in the membership where you can input all your numbers, and it will tell you essentially what your pricing should be in order to cover your costs and make the profit that you need. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure you check out that membership. I will link that down below as well. Okay, number 3 is to make sure you start building a portfolio. If I were to look at your website, which hopefully you have by now, would I only see, your kids or one living room or one, kind of one photo shoot spread out all across the website? You really do need to start expanding to others when you're building up this portfolio in order from going from side hustle to pro. You also want to make sure you have a very consistent look. You don't want one session to be dark and moody, one to be light and airy, one to be a journalistic style, one to be lifestyle, one to be superposed. When clients look at your portfolio, they need to be able to picture themselves in that and say, I know exactly what I'm getting. I'm not saying you can never do anything a little different, but working on a consistent portfolio is going to actually bring more clients to you and not less. And it's also going to lead to happier clients because they know exactly what to expect. So when you deliver it, they'll be thrilled. Okay, so how do you actually get these clients that I'm talking about until you're established? Well, you probably started with your kids. You can also talk to your neighbors, co-workers, posting on your personal page, your personal Facebook page that you're looking to build a portfolio and you need people who you can take images and use those on your site. Just make sure, like we talked about before, you get those clients to also sign a contract and a model release. I would go so far as to say you need to have very high expectations of what you want them to wear, where you'll go. With these portfolio building shoots, you get to direct the ship, not them. So you could even buy the wardrobe, or I often pulled stuff from my kids' wardrobe. I would request specific ages of kids because I didn't want to get a 6-month-old, and no offense to 6-month-olds, but they're kind of hard to get to do what you want. So I would often ask for a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old. So you can be very specific on what you want as you're starting to build this portfolio and fill in the gaps in what you show on your website. I often also get asked, should you charge for these portfolio building sessions? My rule of thumb on that, and I'm a big charge what you're worth person, but no, if you're asking for help, essentially making it a model call, that you don't charge. What you could do, and this is what I would probably do if I was doing it again, I would say, you need a model or however many kids at this location wearing these clothes for this amount of time. And in return, you will give them 5 digital images or whatever number you think you can safely deliver. If you have more than that, and most likely you would, you could then you could show them all their pictures, tell them they get to pick 5, and then any extra images are X amount. You could also, if they want to print something from you or hang something on their wall, that's a way that you can make a little money from those portfolio building sessions. So I would not spend a ton of time on those sessions, again, because you're not going to be making a lot of money. I would keep them short, 30 minutes. The goal is variety, that you're trying to get a variety of people, a variety of locations, so that your future clients who are going to pay you can see that and can get a sense of what you're doing and your skill set and be super excited to work with you. If all this seems super overwhelming, believe me, I get it. I was totally in your shoes 12 years ago, working my job, trying to hustle with photography to make it a full-time career, really not knowing anything about taking pictures, cameras, clients, contracts, business, pricing, all that stuff, etc. So I get it. I've been there. I do have a ton more information that is included in my membership. And the coolest thing about the Creating Freedom membership is that it also gives you access to me. So twice a month, we have a Zoom call where people can submit questions, ask questions live, so you can get direct feedback on stuff you're working on, client situations that you're having. So that's just another resource that's available. Or just continue to tune into this channel. I will be providing updates to the most frequently asked questions that I get every Friday.